Well, good evening. The Who's today were on at Gosford, at Old Gossie. The track was good, and the rail was 3 metres out, and the old Jack Lind, it was out of the northwest for the first few races, and then swung around out to be out of the northeast. And when you were coming down the side from the 1200-metre mark on to the turn, of course, leaders were running into the wind. It was strong enough. It was strong enough. It wasn't a hurricane by any means, but it was strong enough to take the edge off the winners, and which saw a few runners come from well back. One runner sitting very wide, posted outside the leaders, and as I say, it was slightly against the leaders and favoured swoopers a bit. The first race, the winner was the only winner to lead all the way. The favourite, when the starter was about to press go, on your mark, boys, was Strata's Diamond, number 5. It reared in the barrier and hit its noggin, and they pulled it out of the barrier, and very quick vet inspection, and it was scratched more or less immediately. Starter jumped back up on his stand, and they were racing. It was more or less a 30-second job. We did have time to frame another market. This is, well, before it was scratched. Strata's Diamond could have got away with the race. It might have led, and Nash might have been on his outside on the second horse, Voltuna. With the wind the way it was playing, Voltuna still might have been able to beat it. We'll never know if you never go. And in the first race before the scratching, there was 105.7 on the screen, but in the good old mark, don't tell the tab punters whatever you do, there was a 95 only given in the marketplace, and the favourite, when it was scratched, it was $2.70 on my board, Strata's Diamond. It might have been $2.60, and the winner, Volatina, it was $3.70, and after $4.40 had been bet, of course, it was 5 to 2, 350 out to 440 back into 370, and when the favourite, which was 250 out to 280 back into 260, was scratched, it became the 13.08, $2.60 favourite when they jumped in the fresh set. In the fresh set, this is how they started: 40 from the top, 40 in dollars, 47. Start again. 41, $8, $9.50, 26, scratch, 260, 31, 480, and 550. We had about 8 or 9% there after the scratch when the Avery came out. And as I said, it was the only leader to win all day. I think because the others can't trot, they did look like some of them from where I was standing, which is a good way away from the enclosure. Some of them looked like pit ponies. And Nash was able to go straight to the lead on Voltina. I think it might have had its birthday. Happy birthday, Voltina. Might be the last race you win, son. Anyway, it was able to lead all the way, 1 by 1 and 1.8 lengths from coming from third last, first starter, Holy Delusions, trained by Timmy Martin, ridden by the 3 Kilo boy, making up a good bit of ground, but that was the place to be. Race 2, now there was 102.8 on the screen, but only 95% in the marketplace, and I think the difference between winning and losing here was the Jack Lind, as I said before. Nash went straight to the front on another love child, and he ran into the wind. Looking at him off the fence, drawing the outside alley, was clever Kevin McAvoy. And Karen, he, as I say, was looking at Nash all the way, well off the fence. And when they turned to home, Nash was able to get clear. And I think the judge he reached down and he picked up number 1, ready to slide it into the frame, but just in the last bit, I think the wind had taken its toll. Plus, it's not a real strong conveyance, another love child, And when they got to the last 3 or 4 hops, the second horse, Emblems, was able to go, oh, well, I just got you near the line, beat him by a half a length, and it was 3.8 lengths away to the others. The others all having their chance. It got trapped wide in the run, Pure Sardi, but it wouldn't have made any difference. It finished up running 5th. They, I think, switched the positions in the race, and of course, the second horse most probably would have won. This whip action, he's been fined a few times over it, poor Nash. I feel from him. It's just my opinion, but he's got suspended over raising the whip above the shoulder height, which they pulled him up on a few times before. And as I say, he's been suspended over it. It's just his action, and it's very hard to change your riding action. I sympathise with him, and it's funny, you'll never get this in 100 years, but I was, it's like a boxer. Some boxers can telegraph a punch, can come from way back or not far back and go bang, and it looks like it's a big hit. Whereas, say, the Sugar Ray Robinson, or the time when Muhammad Ali put one on Sonny Liston's chin, no one's seen it yet. It only went 2 inches, but it was enough to knock him out. And some riders, as I say, they can. You might think to be raising your arm way up above and getting, when it comes down, of course, it's not. He's not hitting them as hard as you think. And a lot of the riders, it's just to show them that the shillelagh's coming down. But as I say, it's got to look good, I suppose, for all the people out there in TV land. But it's surprising to me. And I was going to say earlier on, you'll never get it in 100 years, and I think it's right, because I was on an aeroplane once, and sitting beside a retired hickey hockey, and we were talking about the racing game, of course, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he was a very good rider, this boy. And he said to me, as I say, saying this and saying that, he told me that you'll never get it, but he said, you know who won it? We brought up Mick Dittman, of course, who was one of the strongest whip riders he's ever ridden against. And I said, oh, he said, you'll never get it. And I ran off a couple of names, and I mentioned Mick Dittman and 1 or 2 others. And he said, well, don't even go any further, you'll never get it. And I said, well, who is it? He said, oh, it's P. Cook. I said, P. Cook? He's a hands and heels, as gentle as, got the lightest hands you've ever seen. He does it. He said, yes, but he said, you're riding beside him. And he said, they don't go very far. He said, but when he did hit them, he said he didn't have to raise his hand up very high, as I say, but it never travelled far. He said, but you think the horse didn't feel it? It went crack. He said you could hear it when you're beside him, and it was a mighty crack around their backside, but it never travelled far. And even though Nash is going way up there, it's just his action, and I think they're being a bit harsh. But anyway, that's what they're the boys in charge, of course. I told you the percentage, and what if you reverse the positions they were in that race, I think the second horse beats the winner. Race 3, there was 106.6 on the screen, but only 103 in the marketplace. And when they hit the line, there was only 1.4. There were 9 runners, and there was only 1.4 lengths between the field. So it'll tell you, if you run this race over again, how many different results you get. And of course, this is, I suppose, the proof of the pudding. This is where Style was sat three wide outside the leaders. It led on the fence. I Own the Lead. Oceans, trained by Gay and ridden by Nash, had barrier 1. It had the inside alley. It led, and it held out Syncopated, and 3 wide outside the pair was Style. And I thought, when they met last time, Style and Syncopated, even though Style made it a bit better today in the weights, I did mark Style shorter than Syncopated last start, when when Style was defeated by Syncopated. And as I say, it sat 3 wide outside the 2 leaders, and was still able to move up. And the wind was still coming out of the northeast. Well, it might have swung around even this time to the northeast, and that was enough to give it a little bit of protection, even though it was wide. And copping the wind on the fence, of course, on the 18 pence was Nash, and it's been beaten. What, it ran, finish up running third, and only got beat a half a length. And there was, as I say, 1.4 lengths between them when they hit the line. It was 106.6 on the screen, only 103 in the marketplace. They backed a few runners in the race. Who was the best backed? The Avery late Oceans. We went up $2.50. We got it out to $3.20 or even 30 might have been given, but it only started about $2.50 hard to get. It was very well backed towards the end of betting. There were a couple of runners that were held up in the run, and as I say, if you run that race again, you would get plenty of. It's a good chance if you run that race over again. There were 9 runners. I'm being a bit facetious here, but you at least get 4 or 5 different results every time you ran it. Race 4, there were 105.2 on the screen. For the robots, only 100%. What am I talking about? For the robots, 105.2. For us in the marketplace, only 100. And again, this was a little bit evident how the track was playing. Was always going to be last anyway. It drew the outside alley 8 runners. Drew barrier 8, Cradle Me. Was always going to be last. Went straight back to that position. And when they swung for home, he eased off their heels, the 2-kilo boy, Sam Clipperton, and he was able to come down the outside and say, gotcha, on the line to the one that they backed, and that was 10-0, coming from Queensland, having its first start here in New South Wales, and it was $4.60 into $3.50 favourite. Thank you very much, 10-0, and the winner opened up favourite, Cradle Me, and it was $3 out to $3.80, back to $3. No, $4 wasn't given, but $3.80 was certainly given, and at least started $3.70. There was a bit of money around at $7 for Mercon Man, and it led on the fence, Mercon Man, not the place to be, and it ran fourth and only got beat a half a length, so its run was a lot better than it looked. And sitting on its outside was Floral Instinct, and it ran third, and just easing off the heels and coming from behind them, the well-backed runner 10-0, it ran second. As I say, 4 of them hit the line together, and there was only a half a length between the 4 of them. The winner got the bias a little bit in its favour. Race 5, 104 on the screen, but in the marketplace, a skinny 93%. 93%. Oh, don't tell the tab punters whatever you do, because we just have to go and bring some more section to the track to pay them. We don't want them coming there. We're giving the money away to the people who are already at the track, and there's lucky only a few of them coming. So it'd be terrible if a lot of other people turned up. We'd have to give them a section as well. Now, in this race, as I say, that we only gave 93%. And when the pace slowed, this is the 2100 metre race, and when the pace slowed in the middle stages coming down the side, where Bold Blake Shin unfortunately was leading on Sweet Talk and Woman, so that was the end of it. It was running into the wind. Where did it finish up running? I think it might have, yes, it ran about 5th or something. Anyway, settling down in last position when they went out of the straight and turning into the back straight was the winner, Watertight. A Drew Barrier 1, ridden by Killer Kath O'Hara. And when the pace slackened in the middle stages, there was a runner that was running third last, and that was Diamond Jim, ridden by Jay Collette. Well, it took off and went up very easily to the leaders because there was no pace. And Killer Kath had eased off the fence, got off fairly easily. There was a horse on its outside pulling very badly. That was Platinum Jack. It pulled its head off all the way. She was able to extricate off the rails and get on the back of Diamond Jim. And Diamond Jim's very one-paced. Watertight all of a sudden showed a much better turn of foot than Diamond Jim did. And Killer Kath quickly got around it. And by the time they had got to the turn, she was 2 lengths clear and going strongly. And all of the other runners were off the bit. And I think on the turn, I would have laid you 6-4 on about it winning. You could see that, as I say, they're all off the bit. And Watertight, is a fairly strong runner, and you knew it would keep on going. It's easy now, isn't it? And it held on to win by a length from Diamond Jim, and coming from about 4th or 5th position was Shaney and number 3, which I laid some good bets against. I bet $11. You wouldn't see that on the fluctuation screen. It did start $9. When I say there was 93% on the screen in the marketplace, there was of course 15% less. Isn't it amazing? I had a terrible result on this. Well, how in the hell did it win? Gregory Aeroplane. How did Gregory Aeroplane win at Rose Hill that day? It was an act of God, and it was only $6. Well, what were the flux that day? $6.50 or something into $4, I forget. All I know is I did a bucketful on it, and I said today when I was getting up there, I said I'll try and get a quarter of that bucket back, but it was you couldn't get a tenth of the drumstick back out of it. It went from the Gregory Aeroplane today. It was grounded. It was dead set grounded. It went up 5-2, $3.50 the field wheel, have we say. Gregory Aeroplane, all you people who backed it at Rose Hill, and they yelled back to us, no, you can have that one for yourself. We were on it last start. It did start $6.50. It was 5-2 to 11-2. Didn't have a price. You could lay just about, yes, you could lay every other runner in the field. Every other runner in the field was backed. But the grumble and grunters and the pros said, Gregory Aeroplane today is grounded. It's for you, captains. You can have it. And we said, unfortunately, we don't want to have it, but we've got to have it. And of course, it was in between runners in the run. And where did it finish up running? Gregory Aeroplane. Oh, it ran about six. Not beaten that far, but it had every chance. And that was the story there. Race 6. There was 107.4 on the screen. And take a picture, click. There was 102. 102, it was fat. It was 102 in the marketplace. It was all right, this. Oh, geez, it was good. And of course, there were about 4 or 5 runners didn't have a price. We won't say that. But anyway, unfortunately, the equal favourite, the equal favourite, Gibraltar's Gem, it led. Nash wasn't going to fall into leading on Great Snowman. When they hit the first bend, Nash said, no, here, young girl, Elle Grace, you can go straight to the front. And unfortunately, it wasn't her fault, but it pulled on her fairly. It raced keenly, and all the horse wants to do is run. And unfortunately, she ran the first 1,000 metres in 59.5. So this runner did a very, very good job. It's only been beaten about, say, a half a length or a long neck by a half a length, been beaten under a length. And it's not even, so under a length. Its run was very, very good under the circumstances, because not only did it go so fast in the lead, at one stage it was a good 4 to 5 lengths in front of Lucano, who's another leader, and on the fence inside it was Great Snowman. Then it was about another three lengths to Dantalion, and inside it was Largo de Barra, and getting a lovely suck up was the equal favourite Loaded, which went up $3.30, excuse me, very hard to lay, got out to $3.50.40 at the finish, $3.50, whereas Gibraltar's Gem, it went up $3.50 second pick, got out to $3.80, back into $3.50, but back and started about that price. And when they turned for home, it came back to the field, Gibraltar's Gem, and Nash had extricated off the fence and was going out after the leader, not far behind it, but moving up, and as I say, getting that lovely suck into the race with wind cover, was the winner, Loaded, ridden by Christian Reef. And it was evident on the turn that it was going to get the Vickies, and he didn't draw away by any means. As I say, the margins running third, the leader was under a length. So if the track and wasn't even if the wind wasn't there and she'd gone as fast as she had, I dare say she most probably would have held on and won. So I wouldn't be blaming the little girl. The winner was very well ridden and got a lovely run. That was about the race. Those 3, the others wouldn't have beat any of the first 3 with the start. And we came to the last race, and on the screen it said 105.5 in the marketplace. It was all right, there was 103% here. The winner was $9.50 given at one stage, and I think if the stable, if it wouldn't have got home, Beacon, they mightn't have taken it home. They might have said, "We'll leave this one here," because it got the best run you've ever seen, going straight to the front from the inside alley was Balzac, ridden by proper Peter Roble, and on its outside was Clissman, who was always going to go fast. Little Natalie Lai, she rode it, and it had the blinks on today, which made it, I suppose, go a bit faster than she wanted to go. And those two led, and sitting straight behind them, the pair was Beacon from barrier 4. Got a little bit of a check at the start, that didn't matter. It got into third hole easily, just getting and off the fence. He carted on the back of Clissman, and it was a good 4 to 5 lengths away to the rest of them, headed by Masterstroke, which was 3 wide, ridden by Jenny Duggan. It was outside Bargain Boy, and on the fence inside that pair was Bottled Up, and then there was another break to the others. They were all struggling, and as I say, if it wouldn't have got home in the run, I don't think they would have taken it home, the Moody camp, but it did. But it was very lucky to do so, for the simple reason the second horse, Youthful King, ridden by Mrs. R. Murray, on loan to Graham Begg, it always gets back in its races, and it settled down in third last position. And when they turned for home, if they would have fanned the gap that she was looking for, it would have gone straight through that gap. She didn't hook off heels, she couldn't get wide, and went for the split. It wasn't there for a good, well, why don't we say it, 100 metres, and she just sat there looking at them. And when they did happen to spread out a little bit, when they fanned a little bit more, it burst through, and it was only beaten about a length on the line. If it would have got the run at the top of the straight, and they, as I say, fanned, it would have gone straight through that gap, and I've got no doubt it would have caught the winner and beaten it, and it would have been a huge result for the captains, because it was $21 out to $31. There were some runners backed in this race. As I say, Beacon went up $7, got to $9.50, but was back into about $8. At one stage, they took 41 Bottled Up. Now, when I say there was 105.5 on the screen, that included the late scratching Ricky Royale, and similarly, it was scratched to the barrier. We did have a fresh setup, but there was only about 30 seconds or so to bet, and we couldn't really lay anything after it was scratched, because they jumped very soon after. And it was hard to lay Ricky Royale. It was $6 out to $8. Barragan Boy, it was $5.50 to $6.50. Well, we were able to lay, well, I got something out of the top one, laid it for something Bottled Up, laid Ricky Royale for something, a packet of Artists. Barragan Boy got something out of it. The next winner, runner, Masterstroke, it was extremely hard to lay. It went up $3.50 favourite. I was $5.50 when they jumped and laying it, but you had to go to that price to lay it. Or you might have laid it at $5. The winner, the second horse, which nearly should have won, Youthful King, it was 20 out to 30. Balzac, very well backed at one stage. They how much me at $7.50. It was $7 out to $8.50, and $8.50. I bet 15 to 2. But they how much me at $7.50 at the 13 to 2 at one stage. But it did start the $8. The next runner on a run was 50 out to 70 or 60. Mr. Hong Kong, extremely well backed, $9.50 given early. It only started $6. Blakey Boy, extremely well backed, $10 into $6.50 taken. Started. Well, I might have been 7 when they jumped. Or $6.50 at least. The next runner, I struck it for something. Clissman, $26 out to 51, and Private Label, it was extremely well backed. It was $51 into what am I talking about? Private Label? No, it wasn't. It was 41 out to 61. 41 to 61. They were the prices before the scratching, with the 7 to 1 chance coming out. Of course, they all tightened. 14% of the market came, 12% of the market came out, and they tightened up a bit. But as I say, it would have been, it was very, very flattered the winner. The way the race was run, Beacon and Youthful King, the 30-to-1 chance, it nearly should have got the cash. That was about the Mother and the Glory. We will go to Wyong, back up the highway again tomorrow, and I'll see if I can say something tomorrow night. Good evening.